You guys, there is a guy that can communicate with other dimensions using his vision, and he wants to teach you how to do it. This is called Upsight Vision. It is an entirely new phenomenon, never spoken about before. Yes, you can look back in mythology. Maybe this is what they were connecting with when they would talk about the Akashic records. There is a way where he softens his focus and then he can literally see in front of him actual holographic images that he can interact with. And he believes that you might be able to do this too. If you can do this, please let me know in the comments. I'm happy to connect you with him and give you his email. He's looking for more people like him. But he thinks there's ways to also train people how to do this. And I'm going to discuss more about what he calls the organic metaverse and also how you might be able to learn to do this in my next video. So stay tuned for part 2. And real quick disclaimer, no, he is not crazy. He's not schizophrenic. He has actually been tested. They have tested his brain. People are studying him right now and writing papers on him, which you will hear about very soon. I'm just trying to help you be early to the game. Basically, we are superhumans, we have superpowers, and our consciousness is raising, and we're learning more about these awesome things. So keep an open mind and stay tuned for more. Bye. Okay, there's a man that can see holographic images in his vision, and he's looking for other people that can do it too. This is part 2 of the video. If you want to see part 1, head over to the Upsight Vision series on my TikTok wall. Okay, so when he sees these holographic images, there's a couple things he wants people to know. One, there's different things he sees. He can see different holographic creatures. He can see holographic beings. He even describes one as having a clear translucent body, and he can see his whole circulatory system. He also sees holographic shapes, not just sacred geometry, but he sees toruses and different shapes that not a lot of people even talk about or know how to describe. He also can see the present, past, or future, and the images that he does see in front of him are always moving. They are never stationary. And he has learned and is learning how to interact with them and change the images. He does have a disclaimer that not everything you see is technically real, and there's a way to tell the difference between what is real and what is fake, which I'll go into in part 3. Also, I'm helping him make a TikTok. I'm gonna be posting that here soon on the next video, so you can go to his and watch all his cool videos and talk to him if you have this gift as well, that he calls Upsight Vision. Okay, there's a man who wants to teach you to develop a new sense to see holographic images in front of you. Yes. He is being studied right now at the Institute of Noetic Sciences. This is a real thing. It is called Upsight Vision. This is part 3. Watch part 1 and 2 in my bio under the playlist Upsight Vision. I will also link you to his TikTok in the comments. So one thing he wants to make very clear about Upsight Vision is that he had a traumatic incident that opened him up to experiencing these things. So a lot of you who are saying that you have trauma that sparked it, or maybe were in a psychosis that sparked it, but it stayed and now you're normal and have these things, that is okay. But you do not need to go through a mental health crisis or trauma to develop this sense. He is gonna actually make a free PDF about it because he wants people to learn about this and he wants to reach people who have this gift. He says it's kind of like singing where everyone can sing, but some can sing better than others. So maybe you have this gift really intensely and maybe it's just something you'll develop a little bit. And maybe more other things are your thing, like prophetic dreams or clairaudience. I'll talk more about that in another video. Basically, what he thinks he's seen is some type of 5th dimension, biosphere, organic metaverse, he calls it. I call it the plasma field, but that's just my own term. He can get invention ideas like Nikola Tesla did. He can communicate with these things, like I've said before. He actually has a really interesting story that I'm gonna do in part 4 of this video about how he came into contact with gray aliens. Yes, they exist. And yes, he met them. Just like there are bad and good people on Earth, there are interesting other energies in these other dimensions. But that doesn't mean you should be scared. His PDF will tell you how to handle things as well. Okay, just get ready for part 4 about aliens. Well, grays, interdimensionals, I don't know. Okay, this is the guy that sees holographic images. He talks about seeing grays while remote viewing. I'm gonna let him
When I
talk.
first started using Upsight to explore the organic metaverse, I would bump into all different types of creatures, some while remote viewing. I didn't think anything of the aliens that would show up and watch me stumble around. They were just there, watching and occasionally communicating. Mantis, reptilians, greys, and a few other rare types I haven't seen in any of the UFO history books. This image, it is from one of the first remote viewing encounters I had aboard a gray spaceship. I didn't see any technology on the ship, no flight controls or anything like that. Just this room with a raised glass table. There were about a dozen greys standing in a circle looking down at this glass table. At first, I thought it was empty. Then I realized they were remote viewing something themselves, but they were doing it as a team to get better coverage of what they were viewing. When the person they were remote viewing moved out of one of the greys' field of vision, it was picked up by the gray next to him. Some of them were remote viewing the town, while others focused on the people. They worked like a chorus where everyone knows the note they're supposed to hit. Plus, like a chorus, everything was amplified. The rays represent the waves coming out of the gray's eyes. They don't have visible rays shooting from their eyes like in this image. It's more like sound waves coming from our mouths or light waves coming from the sun. This is how they communicate with each other and communicate and influence us.
That makes sense.
They don't speak. Everything is received as an image, and or they somehow know the exact synaptic connections in our brains that trigger the word and the sound they want us to hear in our head. I have no idea what they were trying to achieve while this remote view. After a very short time, two of them saw me and turned to look my way. I was a curiosity. They were not used to humans watching them. They were definitely not pleased that I was there. This was one of the first of many remote viewing encounters I've had with greys. In fact, it was the only way I could ever encounter the greys was while remote viewing. That is, until recently. It started as a lucid dream with a gray alien holding my head, looking into my eyes, and downloading what felt like an entire millennium of information into my eyes and brain. It was almost like a movie running at high speed, or a tape running at high speed. Somehow I understood everything I was seeing. It was a pleasant experience. From there, it turned into a remote view astral projection type vision. A holographic galaxy took the place of all the previous images and the information, and I immediately started to forget everything I had just been shown. The galaxy was now between me and the gray alien who's still holding my head.
That's so cool.
And he was holding my head the same way a parent will hold their child's head and look into their eyes to make sure they want them to know what's being said, because it's especially important. When it was almost done, the thought, "Do you understand?" popped into my head. I must have nodded or somehow affirmed a yes, as I slowly became more aware that I wasn't lucid dreaming, viewing, or astral projecting. My head was in the hands of a gray alien, and it was leaning against my bed. I started to speak and tried to release myself from the grasp. In the next moment, it was gone. I didn't see it leave, it was just gone, and my head, still 10 inches or so above the bed, fell back into the pillow. It took me about a minute or two to process what had happened. I spent the next 30 minutes trying to remember everything I'd been shown, but I can't remember any of it, and I can't get access of any of it to this day. But somehow I know when I need this information, it will be accessible to me, and that need is based on where I'll be on Earth at a particular location. So what's the point of having my umwelt expanded and my vision upgraded? Why are these various and very different non-human intelligence communicating with me? Why am I taking all this energy, effort, and time to work with Olaf to create these amazing illustrations, to create this video, and beat this drum about Upsight, the organic metaverse, and my expanding umwelt? The answer is these interdimensional beings want to make themselves known, not just to me, to all of us. My NHI guide isn't interested in me telling you all the things I've seen. There are many, many people who call themselves starseeds who seem to be receiving messages from different beings telling them humanity's destiny. They may be onto something. I wouldn't know. That's not what's happening to me. And don't ask me to tell you about these interdimensional beings. My mission isn't to tell. My job is to show. The guide wants me to show what's possible with Upsight and the organic metaverse. It's pushing me to build a team to better connect and understand the capabilities of the organic metaverse. It needs and wants humans to see the knowledge and communication channels available here for us. After my mental health...
Okay, there's a guy who sees holographic beings in front of him. They're actually studying him right now. It's called Upsight Vision, and I have to tell you about a video that might actually awaken you to this. Okay, so this was actually going to be part 7 about how he got this gift, but I had to share what's happening to me, and I was really thinking if I should share this because I had fear of being judged, but I'm just going to share it. So I watched all his videos on this, which you can watch on YouTube. The video's like a 26-minute video. It's also going to be posted on his TikTok, which I'll link below, in little clips. Literally, since I've watched these videos, I meditated last night, like I always do. And I had this like throbbing happen in my head, and I started seeing like rainbow holographic colors with my eyes closed. And I've seen stuff while meditating, but it felt like I was trying to be like communicated with, or my vision was like waking up. I don't know if you guys have had this. I also think it's very interesting. People are saying that just this year they're starting to have this gift, like so many more people than I even thought or Tom even thought. Once again, you can follow his TikTok to watch the whole video at length. But basically, people all around the world are waking up to having holographic vision right in front of them. And some people have done it since they were a kid. For Tom, it happened actually through a mental health crisis, but now that it's solved and there's nothing wrong with his brain and he still sees these things, it's actually very common for people with trauma or who struggle with mental health to now have these gifts and spiritual gifts, as I'm sure all of you may know. So yeah, it's called Upsight Vision. I'm going to post part 7 about how it started, but I just think it's so cool that people are actually starting to talk about these abilities, and it's not fake. So all of you haters, these are normal people with normal day jobs who do not have something going on up here. Like, yes, we all struggle with stuff, but all in all, these are normal people.
Clearly, the cocaine addiction had something to do with it, right? But I was addicted 5 years earlier, and that wasn't the case. So something else had shifted. In any case, I ended up homeless on the streets of LA, right? And no money, nothing. And I'm in the middle of summer, and I'm like, you know what? There's something else going on other than the drugs, because addicts want their money. We don't want to spend our money. You do not want to piss all your money away. So I checked into a psychiatric treatment hospital in LA. And by the end of the year, I'd gotten better. I'd gotten clean and sober. I went back home with the family and I connected with them. When you come out of a mental health crisis and you realize you have an extraordinary ability that you can, in fact, see holographic images around you, people will say, oh, he's still using drugs. Oh, he's still crazy. Oh, he thinks he could talk to aliens. I took a long time. I mean, years and years and years before I would take the whole non-human intelligence side seriously. In fact, I didn't even, for lack of another word, jump on UFO Twitter until Avril Haines said, listen, the national, director of national intelligence the National Cathedral, she's like, listen, there are extraterrestrials. There may be extraterrestrials here. I'm like, maybe I should shift gears and get the answers I'm looking for. To the tests we did at IONS. Now, 200, my head is hooked up to an EEG machine, right?
Yeah.
We did 200 randomized testing. And the guy that ran this, I call him the Mozart of EEG testing. He's done over 160 of these things. 200 randomized tests. The first image is, let's call it the Eiffel Tower, right? And I have to think about that image memory recall, mind's eye. Think about what it looks like in that way. That's the first test. Second test, that's the control.
Yep.
Then I see it in my field of vision, just like I'm talking about. There it is, holographically right in front of me. We studied and we did 200 of these. We studied all brain states, alpha, beta, gamma, theta, all of them. Now, what's cool about that, I knew just intuitively that there were going to be changes across to all of them. I assumed, because the theta state is the state the brain state's in with lucid dreaming and with mediums, that was going to show the biggest difference. Now, there was differences across all brain states.
Okay, there's an incredible PDF that just got released by this guy named Tom Matt. It talks about Upsight Vision, which is where you can see holographic images in front of you in reality and communicate with them. It also talks about the hidden biosphere and organic metaverse, which I'm going to explain. It goes over communicating with non-human intelligences, interdimensional beings, gray aliens, even your higher self. even seen like these mythical beast creatures, sacred geometry shapes. This is a real phenomenon that thousands or even millions of people are experiencing and maybe not a lot of people are talking about. It basically is like a sight, but an upgraded sight. And Tom believes that a lot of people and a lot of humanity right now are waking up and remembering these abilities. He talks about why he thinks it's happening. Like, is this to save the world? Is this so we can start to have contact or communication with our future selves or higher selves or other dimensional beings to learn things to better the earth and our lives and ourselves? Is it a trick? He also goes into how harnessing your inner power and these abilities can potentially save the world. And like, let's not get all apocalyptic. Like, obviously there is climate change, there's problems happening, right? There's always been problems since the beginning of time. This is a beautiful tool and a way, whether you have this or can develop it, maybe you're clairaudient. Either way, this we can't deny. People are interacting with this field that is not in this reality. Hidden biosphere, the organic metaverse, the field, plasma, outside the matrix, whatever you may call it. People are gaining intelligence, inventions from this field, downloads, communication. What is so important about this is this can be not always true. So in this PDF, he talks about, well, let me just go over it really quick. Stage 1 is disillusionment and mental breakdown. This also can be told for any kind of spiritual awakening. You realize that reality is not reality, and there's so much more out there. This can happen doing psychedelics, being on drugs, having a heartbreak, having a mental breakdown. He had a mental breakdown. This is actually pretty common. And now he's like 10 years in recovery through it, so you can get better. Still have spiritual gifts. Stage 2, he talks about escaping reality. So basically, obviously you're disillusioned. Now you want to escape that. It's really hard to face that. So this is when you're disillusioned, sometimes you do start doing drugs. You do kind of run from your feelings, that kind of thing. Just read the PDF and go into it. I'll link his stuff below. You can subscribe to his website and ask for the free PDF. And we're going to go live today, right after this post at 5 p.m. PST. And he's going to do a Q&A. But this won't be the last time you hear about it. So if you're seeing this later, it's okay. Stage 3, opening and rewiring. He talks about rewiring your brain. Obviously, this has to do with healing, changing limiting beliefs, looking at reality a different way, being open. Discernment is key. This is super important. Not all of these things that you're starting to be able to download and realize are true. There is trickster energy. It's like Maya, the illusion. So learning what is from your fear and trauma and what is from curiosity and love are very important to decipher those. He kind of goes more into this in letting go, acceptance, forgiveness. This is basically by forgiving yourself, healing your trauma, so many things to do with mental health. You're able to more decipher and have discernment for what is truth and what is a lie because you can feel it inside your soul. And that's not something really you can logically explain, but hopefully you understand that. He also talks about how forgiveness is a superpower. Yes, it is. Forgiving people helps you too. Stage 5, discovery of Upsight Vision. This one's very interesting. It basically talks about him communicating with NHIs, non-human intelligences. Actually, I jumped ahead. That's stage 6. This talks about how he feels like there's a physiological change in his brain, like something upregulated his genes and gave him this ability, like maybe a mutation. He knows he's not the only one. And he's starting to see things maybe in his third eye, maybe a little bit around him now. The holographic images. This stage, making contact with the organic metaverse and hidden biosphere, he starts communicating with these non-human intelligences. He realizes there's messages for him, there's inventions. He learns how to focus on the holograms because they're always moving, figuring out what's true, what's not true. There's a lot more, but just read. He also talks about his mental state and negative and positive interactions in this environment. Those are important. Stage 7, learning and interacting. This one is super interesting. Not as interesting as 8 though. But basically kind of like learning the topological space, just learning more about the beings in this space. Also the difference between organic metaverse, which is kind of like almost like the universe's under layer or outer layer, and then the hidden biosphere, I think, which is terrestrial and earth-based. There's terrestrial NHIs, non-human intelligences, and extraterrestrial NHIs, and I think a bunch of other things. Stage 8 is communicating. This is by far the most interesting stage. He talks about why he thinks these things are communicating. He says this is not heaven and hell with angels and demons, so that some of them pretend to be demons. This is more learning that this is all, in my opinion, if we look at all these things in a curious way instead of with fear or with hope, that's when you can decipher true from false and make your own judgment. And also you won't have fear. A bunch of other things in this one. I don't know what the heck this is. I'm very excited to hear more about sunsight. I hope it has to do with plasma. Knowing me, of course, plasma is magic. And I think basically what Tom calls the organic metaverse, I think is the plasma field. But that's for another time. This is about Tom, not me and my plasma. Anyway, you can find him on TikTok, Upsight Vision _Tom Matt, MATTE. I'll link him below. We're going live soon. Bye. Oh, I think I also have a story, like a playlist on Upsight Vision on my page. So feel free to look at that, but also go to his Upsight Vision page because everything is there. Stay tuned. There's so much more to come with this. There's a study coming out with Institute of Noetic Sciences about him. This shit is, can I say shit? This shiz is about to blow up. All right, bye.